Thank you for watching. Subscribe on Betrayed Man's Diary for more stories. My name's Eric. I'm 35 years old. And for the last 18 years of my life, I thought I was building something solid with the woman I loved. Her name's Rachel. She's 37 now, and we have 3 kids together. We've been through it all. Job changes, financial struggles, little victories, big losses, the stress of parenting, and even a few explorations outside the norm. But up until recently, I would have told anyone that we had a great relationship. The kind most people don't believe exists anymore. We were close. Really close. The kind of couple that didn't just make it work. We enjoyed each other. We laughed. We shared everything. Or at least, I thought we did. We never had issues with trust, or so I believed. When it came to intimacy, things were adventurous, sure, but with rules. Clear boundaries. We had slowly been exploring a lifestyle that some might call non-traditional. It was something we stumbled into after late-night conversations and a few experimental weekends. Non-monogamy, but ethical, open, and together. That was our line. Nothing happened without the other being involved. There were a couple of flings with trusted friends. Some playful encounters that brought us closer, weirdly enough. We didn't rush into any of it. Everything was discussed at length, sometimes over drinks, sometimes during those quiet late-night hours when the world is asleep and you can really talk. We checked in constantly. Nothing felt shady. In fact, for a while, it felt like our relationship got even stronger. More communicative. More connected. We had rules, and we followed them. Years passed. The pandemic happened. Life changed. Rachel worked as a professional dog groomer. She loved animals. Always had. She was one of those people who could get a snarling pit bull to sit calmly in a tub while she trimmed its nails. She worked hard, and she was damn good at it. Me? I'd been working a warehouse job, physical, grueling, but it paid the bills. Until it didn't. I got laid off in 2019 when the company downsized. That was a blow. I'd been there for years, and suddenly I was left staring at a blank future. Rachel was supportive. Told me I didn't need to rush back into anything. That maybe this was the push I needed to try something new. Something more fulfilling. At first, I didn't know what that meant, but then she said, "Why don't you come work with me? I can teach you the ropes." I laughed. I mean, me? A dog groomer? But she was serious. And honestly, I was flattered. It felt kind of romantic, working side by side, building a new path together. So I said yes. I started shadowing her at the grooming salon she worked at. At first, I was just cleaning up fur, brushing dogs out, helping manage the front desk and customer calls. But eventually, she trained me in the actual grooming, the clippers, the scissors, the shampoo mixes, the tricky cuts. I had to admit, I liked it. There was something oddly satisfying about the work. Something quiet and focused. And it felt good to learn something new. Especially with her as my teacher. We had fun. We'd goof around with the dogs, share inside jokes, bring each other lunch. I felt proud that we were doing this together. That we had built something new, a small, scrappy life pivot that actually worked. Between 2019 and now, we worked at 2 different shops. The first one was kind of a mom-and-pop place that closed during the pandemic. After the worst of the pandemic eased up, Rachel and I found new jobs at a different grooming shop across town. It wasn't our first choice, more of a necessary move than an inspired one, but bills don't wait for inspiration. We were lucky to find a place hiring 2 groomers at once. And not just any groomers, we came in as a couple, which can sometimes be a red flag for employers. But this place didn't seem to care. From the outside, it looked decent, clean storefront, bright signage, good traffic. The kind of place suburban pet parents with doodles and mini poodles would trust with their fur babies. But once you were inside, the story changed. The team? Young, loud, and mostly obsessed with TikTok drama and group chats I didn't want to be part of. I'm not saying they were bad people, just exhausting. They had a kind of chaotic energy, like middle school kids who never grew out of testing boundaries and turning everything into a joke. Every conversation veered into oversharing, petty squabbles, or useless gossip about coworkers or customers. Still, money is money. I kept my head down and focused on the work. Rachel, ever the social butterfly, got along with them better. She laughed at their jokes, joined their conversations, even got added to some of their group chats, the ones I avoided like the plague. I didn't mind at first. We were different in that way. I've always been more reserved, more of a do-your-job, go-home kind of guy. She liked connection. I told myself it balanced us out. The shop was co-owned by two people, but only one really showed up, Gerald. A grizzled man probably pushing 60 with a tired look and an obvious weariness in his bones. Gerald technically managed the shop, but over time, his health started catching up to him. Heart issues, joint problems, chronic fatigue. Whatever it was, he started fading from the day-to-day. That's when his son, Cody, stepped in. Cody was about my age, but emotionally, he had the maturity of a playground bully who peaked in high school and never realized it. He took over managerial duties temporarily, which quickly turned into most of the time, and then all the time. And from day one, he rubbed me the wrong way. He wasn't just cocky. He was strategically arrogant. The type of guy who always had a story that topped yours. If you'd groomed a matted husky in under an hour, he'd done two back-to-back without breaking a sweat. Just ask him. If you mentioned a technique, he'd immediately claim he knew a faster, better way, usually something dangerously wrong or completely made up. When challenged, he'd double down and gaslight you into thinking you misunderstood. Cody lied. Constantly. About his experience, his knowledge, even his own coworkers. And not harmless white lies, stuff that created tension, made people question each other, even caused blow-ups. And he thrived on it. I swear, some days it felt like he needed drama the way most people need caffeine. He had this way of pushing everyone's buttons just to watch the reaction. Worse than that, he seemed to enjoy watching people squirm. He'd bring up politics, religion, sexual identity, anything controversial in casual conversation, just to trigger someone. I caught on pretty quickly that he had no real opinions. He just liked to stir the pot. If someone expressed discomfort, he leaned into it. Like it was a game. Like he wanted to see who'd snap first. It wasn't just annoying. It was calculated. He'd flash a smile, lean against the counter, and say something like, "What?" Just making conversation, while one of the girls bit back tears or someone else walked off red-faced. He played dumb, but he knew exactly what he was doing. One of the newer hires, Stephanie, once called him out during a team meeting. Said his behavior was inappropriate, that he made people feel unsafe. He shrugged and said, "Well, maybe some people are too sensitive to work in customer service." That was Cody's whole vibe. If you're offended, that's your problem. He weaponized discomfort. His goal, as he once told another coworker verbatim, was to make everyone feel like they're losing, because that's what life is anyway. I'll never forget that. We were in the break room when he said it. I was sipping bad gas station coffee, and he was throwing away a dog report sheet he'd clearly forged. He said it like it was profound, like he expected me to nod along. I didn't. Instead, I realized something unsettling. This guy wasn't just annoying. He was dangerous in his own way. Not physically, not violently, but emotionally, psychologically. A manipulator with a title and unchecked power in a cramped workplace full of fragile egos. At first, I thought, whatever. Keep your head down. Do the job. Clock in, clock out. That had always worked for me. But Rachel? She didn't just tolerate Cody. She started spending time around him, laughing at his stories, taking his side in arguments. And little by little, I felt a chill creep into our relationship that I couldn't explain. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That shift, that subtle slide from work annoyance to personal disaster, was already in motion. And I hadn't even seen it yet. From the outside, it probably looked like we had a great setup, working together, building a routine, and surrounded by people who felt more like friends than coworkers. For 5 years, from early 2020 until May of 2025, Rachel and I kept working at that grooming shop. We were there longer than most. Staff came and went, but we stayed. Loyalty, habit, financial necessity, maybe a mix of all three. Cody, the manager's son, was there the entire time. A brash kid trying to fill shoes way too big for him. The maturity never really caught up to his age. If anything, the power just inflated his worst instincts. Despite my initial unease with the guy, we somehow ended up in a circle. It happened slowly. First, it was group lunches after shifts. Then weekend hikes, vintage markets, museum trips, dinner spots downtown. At some point, it stopped being a work thing and just became part of our life. Cody had a girlfriend at the time, Mallory, also a dog groomer, also working at the shop. On paper, she seemed decent, friendly, easy to talk to. We had a lot of double dates, hiking in state parks, hitting up local thrift stores, browsing old records and weird knickknacks. It was fun, easy, no pressure. The four of us started doing everything together. Sometimes it felt like we were becoming our own little tribe. There were weekends where we'd be in the woods in the morning, flea markets by noon, and splitting appetizers over craft beer by night. We laughed a lot, took group selfies, shared playlists, swapped stories about the weird dogs we groomed and the oddball customers we dealt with daily. From the outside, again, it looked like friendship. But underneath that comfort, there were fractures I didn't want to see. I'll admit something now that I didn't say out loud back then. I started noticing the way Rachel looked at Cody. Not constantly, not obviously, but enough. Lingering glances. Laughs that came a little too quickly. I told myself it was nothing. That I was overanalyzing. That they were just friends. At some point, the subject of more than friends came up. Rachel and I had always been open about attraction. That was part of what made our relationship work, honesty. She told me, during one of those long night talks, that she found Cody attractive. That she was curious. Not in a cheating way, she said. Just curious. I shut that conversation down immediately. I'm not interested in going there, I told her. And I wasn't. I didn't trust him. Not just because he was arrogant or inappropriate, but because I could see the manipulation under the charm. And I wasn't about to risk our relationship for some kind of experimental entanglement with a guy who thought empathy was weakness. Rachel respected that. Or at least, she said she did. We agreed to leave it alone. But Cody didn't leave it alone. That's when the messages started. It began as subtle flirtation, things I didn't see right away. Teasing texts, emojis, a compliment here, a joke there. Then it got bolder, uncomfortable. He started texting Rachel directly, late at night, during work, even when we were together, asking for pictures. At first, it was disguised as humor. Bet you'd make more cash on OnlyFans than grooming dogs, smirking face, stuff like that. Gross, but almost deniable. Then it wasn't funny. He asked to see her naked, offered to pay, said he'd Venmo her, just for a peek. I remember the first time she told me, kind of laughing, like it was just Cody being Cody. I didn't laugh. Block him, I said. She didn't. He kept going. He pushed harder. $200 for a topless pic. $500 for a video. I'll give you $1,000 if you let me take you out and just talk. And the worst one? He offered her money for a blowjob. In those exact words. I saw the message with my own eyes. It was on her phone. She left it open while brushing her teeth, and I glanced at the screen when it lit up. There it was. $300. Just 5 minutes. You don't even have to touch me after. I'll be quiet. I sat down on the edge of the bed like I'd been shot. She came out of the bathroom and saw my face. Froze. You weren't supposed to see that, she said. As if that was the problem, me seeing it, not the fact that it existed at all. I asked her one question. Did you answer him? She paused too long, then said, not really. Not really. It echoed in my head for the rest of the night. Not really. Like morality was a sliding scale. That was the moment I stopped pretending things were okay. Because even if nothing had happened, not physically, a line had been crossed. And she didn't seem sure whether she wanted to go back over it. Looking back, the betrayal didn't happen all at once. It came in stages, quiet, concealed, layered under months of normalcy. It was a slow, calculated erosion of everything I thought we were. And I didn't notice until it was already too late. It started in February of last year, 2024. That's when Rachel crossed a line she never should have come near. That's when she began sending nudes to Cody, not just as a joke or on a dare, but as a transaction. She sold him images, custom content, personal, curated moments of intimacy that were supposed to belong to me. And she did it for money. Not once, not a mistake, but consistently, quietly, for 8 months. I didn't know at first, of course. She kept it hidden well. She sent me the same pictures, probably to mask the guilt, or maybe just to keep the illusion alive. Like if I had the same images, it somehow made it less dirty, less like cheating. But it wasn't the same. The intent was different. The audience was different. She was performing for someone else, creating new content specifically for what he wanted. Pose requests, lighting, clothing choices, or lack thereof. She sent at least 14 pieces of content to him that I know about. 14. Probably more. I remember the day I figured it out. I was looking through our shared cloud drive to find a receipt I'd scanned months earlier, and I saw a folder I didn't recognize. It was buried deep, like someone wanted it hidden, but forgot how the sync system worked. And there they were. Photos I'd seen, but not quite like that. Different angles. Re-edit. Renamed. And some I hadn't seen. My stomach dropped. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She just sat on the couch, arms crossed, face unreadable. I didn't sleep with him, she said, like that somehow made it okay. You took money, I said. You sold him pieces of you. She looked away. It wasn't about him. I felt wanted. That phrase. I felt wanted. I wanted to scream. I wanted her. Always had. But I guess it wasn't the same. My wanting didn't pay in cash or come with compliments laced in danger. My wanting didn't make her feel like a fantasy. After that, I couldn't look at her the same. But I tried. God help me. I tried to keep things together. We still had kids. A house. A life we built from the ground up. You don't just walk away from that without bleeding. I thought it had stopped. She swore it did. But it didn't. May 7th started like any other dull Tuesday. It ended like an earthquake. Around mid-afternoon, my phone buzzed in my pocket while I was tightening a bolt under the kitchen sink. I ignored it at first. Probably spam, I figured. But it kept buzzing. Back-to-back notifications. Group chat. I finally dried my hands and pulled the phone out. Mallory. She had sent a message to both Rachel and me in our group chat. The same thread we used to send memes, grooming videos, jokes from the shop. But this wasn't a joke. I know what you did, Rachel. I know about you and Cody. You had sex with him at the shop. You've been sending him pictures. Don't deny it. I've seen enough to know I'm not crazy. I stared at the screen. Literally stared. Frozen. The words didn't register. My eyes saw them, but my brain just kept skipping like a scratched record. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of twisted prank or a misunderstanding. This was Rachel she was talking about. My Rachel. My partner. My teammate. The mother of my kids. The woman I woke up next to for 18 years. The one who cried with me when we thought we were going to lose the house, who used to laugh at my worst jokes like they were stand-up gold. No. No way. I scrolled. Hoping, praying, it was some mistake. Then I saw Rachel's response. Mallory, please. Can we talk about this privately? And that was it. No, what are you talking about? No, that's not true. No denial. Just the kind of reply that screams guilty in 1,000 silent ways. I felt like the floor gave out under me. I couldn't breathe. Not in that poetic, dramatic way people say in movies. I mean literally. My chest locked up. My fingers went cold. My face went numb. I had to sit down, right there on the kitchen floor, because I honestly thought I was about to pass out. She cheated. She actually did it. All those months where I told myself I was being paranoid. I wasn't. All those moments I excused weird silences, late messages, the distant look in her eyes. They were real. The signs were there. I just didn't want to believe them. I'd been fighting to protect a version of us that only I was still living in. The woman I shared a bed with had been selling herself, piece by piece, to a guy we both worked with. A guy who used to come to our house. A guy who shook my hand. And now, on a random Tuesday, I was finding out about it through a group text, like some cruel punchline in a sitcom about failure. I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. I just sat there with the phone in my hand and Rachel in the next room. The same room she'd walked into that morning and kissed me goodbye. I remember how she looked that day. Same as always. Tired but composed. A travel mug of coffee, hair tied up for work, her hoodie slightly oversized, sleeves bunched at her wrists. She looked like any regular woman heading to a job she knew inside and out. I didn't know that, hours after leaving, she would be exposed as someone else entirely. I walked into the living room. She was on the couch, phone in her hand. Eyes wide, mouth slightly parted. She looked up at me like she was about to say something. I held up a hand. Not angrily. Not yet, just firmly. Don't, I said. She stayed quiet. I sat down across from her, not speaking, just staring. My head was a mess of fog and heat. I felt like my soul had been scraped raw. It was one thing to suspect, another to know, to see it. In writing, in silence, in the complete absence of a denial. Mallory had pulled back the curtain, and what I saw underneath wasn't my fiancé. It was a stranger who wore her face. It wasn't just Rachel. That's the thing that hit me like a second freight train, right after the first one had already flattened me. It was Cody too. My best friend. My coworker. The guy I'd talked to almost every day for 5 years, who knew my kids' names, who sat next to me during lunch breaks and cracked dumb jokes, who once helped me move a couch when my back went out. The guy I trusted. He didn't just sleep with the woman I loved, he engineered the whole thing. Slowly, deliberately, from the inside. He played both sides. Made himself look harmless. A little arrogant, sure, but not a threat. Not someone I'd ever see as a rival. And while I was focused on keeping our lives together, bills, kids, work, He was worming his way into something sacred. I can't even describe the kind of betrayal that is. Rachel hurt me emotionally. Cody humiliated me psychologically. He made me doubt my instincts, my awareness, my ability to see people for who they really are. Because I didn't see it. I missed it all. Every inappropriate joke. Every awkward silence between them. Every time he texted her, and she smiled at her phone and brushed it off when I asked what was funny. He made sure I didn't suspect. He was careful, calculated. He made me feel like I was overthinking whenever something seemed off. Like I was just too tense or reading into things. That's the worst part. He manipulated me into thinking everything was fine while he tore my life apart behind the scenes. I lost Rachel. I lost my best friend. And then, I lost my job. There was no official notice. No formal sit-down or pink slip. I just didn't go back. How could I? How could I walk back into that place, knowing what happened in that break room? Knowing every pair of eyes might be whispering behind my back, not out of cruelty, but out of pity. Knowing Cody would still be there, smirking, living his life untouched, while mine was in pieces. I couldn't do it. So I didn't. I texted the owner, told him I was done, that I wouldn't be returning. He didn't ask why. Maybe he already knew. I packed up what little was mine, a couple of grooming tools, a hoodie, a coffee mug with my name on it. Left the rest behind. And that was that. No send-off. No goodbyes. I walked away from a 5-year chapter of my life like it had been nothing but smoke and mirrors. And standing in the parking lot that day, holding my duffel bag with trembling hands, I realized I had just lost everything in less than a week. My partner, my best friend, my livelihood, all gone. Pulled out from under me like a rug. No warning. No chance to brace. It was like waking up in the wreckage of a house that burned down while I was sleeping inside it. I didn't even know where to start. After everything collapsed, all I had left were her words. Her explanations. Her justifications. Her carefully chosen fragments of truth, or at least, what she said was the truth. And even now, after all the pain, I still don't know how I feel about them. I wish I could say that time gave me clarity, that the more I heard, the more I understood. But that's not what happened. What happened was this. I sat in the ashes of our relationship, and all I could do was sift through the wreckage she left behind, and ask myself whether any of it had ever been real. Rachel told me she started taking pictures to feel pretty. Said she had been struggling with her self-image. That something inside her felt broken, and taking those pictures made her feel seen, desirable, worth something. She said it wasn't for him. It was for me. But it was for him. Because Cody asked for them. And asked again. And again. And instead of shutting him down, she gave in. Part 14. Fear or willingness. She told me he kept pressing. Kept asking. That every time she said no, he'd come back with a different angle. I'll pay you. No one has to know. Just one picture. And eventually, she gave him what he wanted. At first, she said it was just to shut him up. That she wanted him to stop. That she felt cornered. But she was paid. Not once. Multiple times. This wasn't some panicked decision. This was a transaction that happened over and over again, from February to December of 2024. That's almost a full year. 10 months of secrets. Of texts. Of content. Of exposure. Of betrayal. And when that wasn't enough for Cody, when the pictures stopped satisfying him, he started pushing for more. He wanted to touch her. She told me she was scared. That she didn't want it. That she froze when he came near. That she felt trapped. That he used pressure, guilt, and money to corner her. That he whispered things like, just for a second, or it won't go any further, or this doesn't have to mean anything. And according to her, she let him. Multiple times. She says it wasn't about desire. That it wasn't something she wanted. That she was scared of the situation, scared of what saying no might mean. For her job, her reputation, maybe even her safety. I tried to believe that. God, I wanted to believe that. But it's hard to process fear as a defense when the same person accepted cash for it. When the same person walked out of those interactions and came home like nothing happened. She said she hated it, that it made her feel sick. But she still went back. Still let it continue. Still protected the secret long enough for it to fester into something that destroyed everything. So now I sit here, months later, still asking the same question. Was it fear? Or was it choice? And worse, does it even matter now? Because the damage is the same. And I'm still the one trying to make sense of something that doesn't have a clean explanation. Then she told me about that day, March 20th. The day before our 18th anniversary. She told me they were the only two left at work. End of the day. Everyone else had gone home. She was packing up, getting ready to leave. She said Cody kept calling her into the break room. He was persistent. "Come in here for a sec," he said. "We need to talk." She told him no. She was trying to leave, but he kept at it, gentle at first, then physical. He touched her back, hand resting just a little too long. She said he kind of guided her, nudged her forward, walking behind her like a shadow, until she found herself in the break room without knowing how exactly she ended up there. She said she was scared, said she froze. Then, he pulled her pants down. Her voice broke when she said it. "I told him no," she whispered. "I was holding my pants up. I didn't want it." She was facing away, trying to pull them back up when it happened. She said he forced himself in. No consent, no negotiation, no money, no discussion, just violence. It only lasted a few seconds, she said, and then he pulled out. "I think he finished. I don't know. I just ran." She told me she ran out of the building like a ghost, got in her car and drove. Didn't stop anywhere, didn't cry, just drove. And then came home and kissed me like nothing had happened. That part broke me in a new way, because I had no idea. Rachel says he was the aggressor, that she didn't want it, that she was scared. And I believe her. But part of me is so twisted up inside, I don't even know what to believe anymore. Not because I think she's lying, but because I've spent the last year watching her keep secrets, lie by omission, minimize things, frame betrayal as confusion. So even when the truth hurts for her, I question everything. I feel like a monster for admitting that. But it's real. I want to believe her. I do. Because what she described wasn't just cheating. It wasn't infidelity. It wasn't a mistake. It was rape. That word haunts me. And yet, I can't say it out loud. Not yet. Maybe because I'm still processing. Maybe because it feels like saying it would make it real. Or maybe because part of me still feels like I should have stopped it. Somehow, I know I'm missing pieces. She won't give me the whole story, not all at once. Sometimes she'll offer up small scraps, tiny admissions buried in moments of guilt or silence. Other times, she clams up completely, changes the subject, looks down like she can't face the weight of it all. But the truth? I'm not sure I want all the details anymore. The ones I already know are loud enough. They echo through everything. Every quiet room. Every moment of stillness. Every time I blink. Rachel keeps telling me how sorry she is. Says she regrets it. That she hates herself for what she did. That she's been losing hair from stress, guilt, the fear of losing everything. She says her body started reacting before her heart did. Anxiety, exhaustion, breakdowns. She says she was falling apart inside while it was all happening. That Cody's pressure was relentless. That the money started to feel like a trap. That the further she went, the harder it was to stop, because stopping meant explaining. And explaining meant losing me. And so she kept going. That's her version. And maybe there's truth in it. I want there to be. But every time I try to line her words up with the reality of what happened, the sheer frequency, the calculated steps, the way it escalated from photos to money to physicality, something doesn't fit. She says she was scared. That he paid. That she hated it. But my brain keeps circling the same dead-end alley. If she truly hated it, if she was truly scared, how did it go on for almost a year? How do you let someone touch you multiple times, pay you for it, and call it fear? How does it get to that point? It's tearing me apart, because part of me wants to believe she was manipulated, coerced, that she froze, that she was in over her head and didn't know how to escape. But the other part, the darker, more broken part, whispers, what if she wanted it? What if she enjoyed the attention? What if it wasn't fear at all, but desire wrapped in guilt? I hate myself for even asking that. But when someone you trust burns you this badly, you start to question everything, not just them, but yourself, your judgment, your memory, your entire grip on reality. Part 18. Dissolving time. I used to be able to track my days by the little things: Rachel's morning alarm, the kids fighting over cereal, the sound of the shower running, coffee brewing. Now, time just slips. I wake up and suddenly it's dark outside. Whole days vanish while I sit on the edge of the bed, staring into space. I miss appointments. I forget what I'm supposed to be doing. My thoughts drift so far off that sometimes it takes me minutes to remember what I was even thinking about. I'm not living. I'm just floating. I go through the motions, make breakfast, do laundry, drive the kids to school, nod at coworkers, pay bills, but none of it feels real. There's this thick fog over everything, like I'm watching my own life from the wrong side of a glass wall. Being a father is the only thing keeping me remotely tethered. But even that's hard. Some days, I feel like a ghost in the house, present, but empty. My kids don't know what happened. They just know Dad's quieter now, sadder, more tired. I'm failing them. I'm failing myself. I'm failing to process any of this. And Rachel? She still says she loves me, that she wants to make it right, that she'll do anything to fix what she broke. But she also doesn't want to talk about it. Every time I ask her a hard question, she says she's told me everything she can, that it hurts too much to relive it. Meanwhile, I relive it every damn day. In my head, in my chest, in the deafening silence between us. I don't know what to think anymore. That's the truth of it. Some days, I feel like I'm starting to climb out of the hole that I might actually breathe again. And then, out of nowhere, a thought hits me. A memory. A sentence she said. A look I remember on her face. And suddenly, I'm right back where I started. Drowning. There's no warning. No build-up. Just a moment where the ground disappears beneath me and I'm free falling through a world I no longer trust. I try to get back to normal. I really do. I get up. I shower. I fold laundry. I walk the dog. I go to work. I text her back when she asks if I'm okay. I try to eat. I check my kids' homework. I keep the plate spinning. But inside, I'm unraveling. Every time I start to feel a little better, I get hit with the same thought. What else don't I know? What other side of her is still hidden behind locked doors? What truths are buried under the version she's chosen to share? What if she's not done lying? What if the real her, the version she's too scared to show me, is still out there, just waiting for the next opportunity to come alive again? That paranoia eats me alive. I find myself watching her differently now. Not like a partner. Like a detective. Like someone trying to read body language, decode text messages, scan for micro-expressions. I second-guess everything. Every late reply. Every quiet moment. Every time she looks at her phone and doesn't smile. I don't want to live like this. But I don't know how not to. I don't have anyone to talk to about this. Not really. No close friends. No siblings. No coworkers I trust. My circle was small to begin with, and the people I let in, they were the ones who broke me. So I'm here now, talking to no one. Or maybe to you, whoever you are, reading this. Maybe a stranger on the internet. Maybe someone who's felt something close to this and survived it. I'm just reaching out in the dark, hoping for a voice to echo back. Because right now, this is the hardest, darkest time of my life. It's not just the betrayal. It's the aftermath. The way it lingers. The way it drains color from everything. The way it turns ordinary days into battlefields. I don't know what I need. I don't know what I want. All I know is that I can't do this alone much longer. I need something. I need anything. A reason. A step. A light. A hand on my shoulder telling me that it's okay to not be okay, but that it won't always be like this. Because right now, it feels like it always will be. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more dramatic tales.